Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming. See you. You're welcome. Thank you. We'll just wait a minute and then I'll start. Today, we're going to be growing garlic and ginger in bags. Just because we may not have space to put pots, we can have an alternative, and that is to use bags. I've shown you these bags in some of my earlier videos. They're just bags that were used from shopping. And instead of throwing them away now, these shopping bags can be used in our gardens, can be used in a versatile way without it becoming a waste. Yes, you would say it can be recycled, but it can be reused first. And so I've got some soil in this bag and I'm going to plant my garlic in it. Now, I showed you the garlic at some point, and this is garlic. And during that video, I think I was referring to it as chives, but it's actually garlic. And I said when I'm going to grow my chives, but I meant when I'm going to grow my garlic. Because garlic is very important in our diet. It is an anti inflammatory and antibiotic. It helps slow down growth of microorganisms in our blood streams. It's good for the stomach and it also helps the blood formation. Now, I said when you want to grow your garlic, you should make sure that you're ready to grow it before you break it apart. So I've only just broken this garlic this evening before I started this video. I've just broken the garlic because I'm aware and I'm sure I want to plant it today because it's much better for us to keep our garlic until we're ready to plant them before we break it apart. If I had broken it apart 3, 4 days ago, thinking I'm going to plant it, it's going to start drying up, and we don't want that. We want the garlic to be as fresh as possible, and you can take off all that is covering it. So we just have just the clove to put in the soil. In fact, I'm very happy because as I expected, the cloves are very big. Because sometimes you see this and you see this. So having a few that are this size actually gladdens my heart because I like the clove to start big because if it starts big, then what I'm going to get in my harvest will most likely be big. So in this bag, I've got compost and manure, and I've put in leaves and grass. So if you're just about to start, you need to purchase soil or you need to get soil from your back garden. So far, you have something growing in the soil in your back garden, it means the soil is good enough to grow. So you just take the soil and put it in the bag and you can wait for about a week to see whatever weeds are coming back. Now, after a week, you pick all the weeds that grow out of the bag, and you're ready to plant your garlic bulbs. So I'm just going to, it doesn't matter which direction you put it. This is the top, this is where it's going to grow from, and the roots will go down from this direction. We have some of them that are already sprouting. This is already sprouting. It's almost looking green. So as soon as I put it in the soil, the roots will just start developing because it's already showing a bit of the shoot. So it's already trying to signify to me that this is the time for me to be put in the soil. So you actually be able to know this is the season for us to grow garlic. Now I must tell you something. Garlic takes about 8 months to mature, but it's not a stressful plant to grow. It actually aids our gardens in that it helps drive away pests. Pests do not like the smell of garlic in the garden. So it's actually a very big advantage if you grow garlic among your plants. If you don't have any other plants and you want to grow garlic and you don't have space anymore, then you grow it in a bag and just place it in a sunny spot and it will grow. So if you plant garlic among other plants, it's an advantage. If you plant it separately, it's also an advantage. You are going to get your harvest at the end of 7 months, because if I plant it now, I'm expecting to harvest this around June. That's when the summer is really here. So that means we have the whole of December and the whole of the following 6 months. That's when the garlic will start coming in, and I can keep harvesting it up till about August, depending on how quickly they decide to grow. I will still be able to find some garlic to harvest from the soil. This is also because you can actually leave the garlic in the soil as a form of storage and harvest the little amount that you need. If you haven't got the time or the manpower to harvest all your garlic, you harvest just the amount that you need and leave the rest there. But it doesn't mean you can leave it there indefinitely. But you can leave your garlic in the soil for about 4 to 6 weeks after it's ready. It will just be getting drier and forming this skin around it. And that's what we want. You want the garlic to go dry, and then you can always bring it in and have it as something for our food. It's very important for us to note that garlic needs fertile soil. You want to put it in fertile soil right from the start. And after that, you can now start mulching with compost maybe once a month. But initially, start it off by putting it in fertile soil. Don't just assume that these plants will grow and grow well in any sort of soil that you put it in. You'd have to find some soil that is growing something good, that is growing maybe good grass at the back of your house, it's growing some good looking weed at the back of your house. That is the soil that you would use. Or you go to the shops and buy compost. That's what you put in the bag, and you can plant this inside. I'm going to put this in here now. I've got a trowel, just make some hole and throw it in. That is all it takes. It doesn't take so much of, oh, this is a special position or that other special position. I'm just making holes and throwing the garlic in, and that is all growing of garlic takes. I have 3 left because there's a total of 10. So a tiny one, I'm going to put it in because it's actually sprouting already. So I'm going to put the tiny one in as well, and they can all grow. One advantage, let me put this away. Hi, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Yes, they are my indoor plants that I have generally throughout the year, and then during the summer I take them out for the sun and bring them back in winter. I don't take out some of them, but the ones that need the sun, like the succulents, they go out during the summer, and that's it. Okay, yeah, I remember because I was trying to remember where I met you. Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, I met you at the terrace garden with the music. Yes, I remember you very well. Thank you so much. I appreciate your coming. How's your channel doing? I hope everything is all right there. Thank you so much for showing up. So I'm just showing how we can plant our garlic today. Okay, and greetings to everybody. I can see you're from India. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming along and joining in this evening. Okay, thank you. Yes, at least you keep making all the efforts necessary to grow our channel in a way that is interesting for people to come along and watch and interact with us. That is my own best idea about growing my channel. That is why I've shown some interesting part of what I grow and show it. Yes, it's late night already over there. Yes, sometimes I'm watching somebody's live as well, and it's around 3 a.m. because of the different timing. So you are way ahead of the UK. That's your okay. It's late in the night already. It's just going past 8 right now. Okay, 2 a.m. That's a 5 hour difference. That's a 5 hour difference. So we are still about 8 at this time. That's uh, that's what the time is right now. So a lot of people are still just in the afternoon, just waking up, and so this is about the time that's convenient for them to watch. And some people are just coming in from work, and they will say, "Oh, this is about the time for them to be able to join in the channel." It's really nice meeting you again, Amal. Yeah, I really appreciate your presence, and I'm going to show next my ginger that I'm going to plant just the same way that I did with the garlic. You haven't got any more space, you just put it in and then put it somewhere outside. And I got this. Let me show you the reveal before you go. These potatoes from a bag that I planted like this on the 1st of August. And I appreciate your coming. Yes, you're going to sleep. Yes, I will visit your garden several times. See all the because you have nice gardens over there. I know a lot of people from your side. I will visit your garden several times. Just leave me my like and have a good sleep. These are baby potatoes that I planted on the 1st of August. that I'm showing you. Thank you. Yeah, that's a very big harvest. This is just about 3 kilos. We were trying to figure out how heavy it is. Just from a small bag like this that I planted, just to show how much potatoes we can get from a bag. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That must have been planted like maybe in June, and then it had the whole of summer for it to grow. That's a very great um, invested effort. And then the sun does all the job. The sun just allows the leaves to carry out photosynthesis, and you're going, you're coming, but it's the plants actually doing the growing by themselves. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your coming, and I'll be visiting your garden very soon. And I have so many indoor plants which I show once in a while. I like to show the plants that I have in my indoor garden. Thank you very much, and good night. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. Good night, and have a nice night. So, what I would go on with is this is ginger, and it's very much similar to the garlic. Break this into small pieces. I haven't got the bag of soil in right now, but it's going to be just like this as well. I break this into about 3 pieces because of the way it is shaped. This will be one, the middle part will be one, and this little doddle on the side will be one. And then we'll have this 3 of them in one bag, and I'll know I'm waiting for something to harvest at the end of the day. I will also be planting this one, which, as you can see, the shape of it, I can break it into about four because it has about three separate portions here, and there's one here, and I'll put it in the soil. I don't want to break it and make it too small, and then it becomes disadvantaged while it's growing. But I actually be able to break it into three and put it in the soil. And at the middle of next year, I will be able to harvest a very massive sized garlic from my bags. So I'm going to put each one in a separate bag. This I'll break into four and put in a bag, and this one I'll break into three and put in a bag. They will all go into the bags because that is my way of growing these plants. On the day that I grow my garlic, I don't water it because the soil is already damp. It's not very dry soil. The soil is already damp. So when I put the garlic in, I would probably just cover it with a blanket or with leaves just to keep the soil warm. What I'm going to do with this right now is that I'm going to leave it in my covered space for the next week until I see the germination occurring. This is because it's already very cold out there. So it's so cold that I know. Hello, welcome. Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate your coming. Yeah. So it's already so cold. So This I'm going to have to keep in a protected portion, not just where it will get very terribly cold. I will keep it in a protected place so that it remains warm and germination can start quickly before we now get to end of December and beginning of January that is going to be very, very cold and the ground will be frozen solid. It is at that time I'll put it outside. I will just leave it there because that is when the ginger and the garlic would be forming the shape that I'll be harvesting. That's when they'll be forming the shape that I'll be harvesting. And that is what I'm looking forward to. Thank you very much. This is a syngonium. Yeah, yes, it's a syngonium. I started it from two single leaves. It's actually a year old and it has about 10 leaves on it. So, one thing that I have that I enjoy doing is propagations. I like starting plants. I like leaf cuttings, leaf stem. Just give me a little piece of a plant and I would like to deal with it. It's much better than the biggest plant that I can have. So I would go around and get little seeds, little cuttings, and I would encourage them to grow to the best of their ability. There's also another syngonium up there, but it's the kind of syngonium where the leaves separate into three, and you would have three division on the leaves. It's got the same coloration as this one. And then here I have a Sansevieria. The Sansevieria is plain green on green. This is because it's taken from a cutting of Sansevieria and put in the soil. When it grows, it's not going to have that yellow boundary on the sides anymore. It comes out plain. If I put the whole single snake plant in the soil, when it's going to grow and produce babies, it will produce babies that would have the yellow band on the sides. But the fact that it's been cut into smaller pieces, when it produces, they will not have the yellow band on the side. So it's also very welcome because it's another type of Sansevieria for me to appreciate. And we have the yams, the spider plants, the pothos, the bamboo plants. There's a lot of them. I actually went out today and on my way, I saw somebody's peace lily is flowering. And I was just thinking, oh my peace lily is not flowering. Oh. And then I got home and looked at my peace lily, and lo and behold, my peace lily is flowering. My peace lily is actually bigger. The flower on it is actually bigger than the little flower that I saw on the one that I saw on my way. I'll just get up and show it to you. Now, this peace lily brought me this surprise white flower because the peace lily actually flowers two or three times in a year. So it has flowered once before, and then now it's bringing up some more flowers. It has not yet opened, but you can see that white flower, and it's very long. That means this flower is going to be quite big when it unfolds. You can see that's the one I'm shaking. That's the white flower. And I can see this is also looking light. So I guess it's got another flower in it. But at least this one, there's no doubt that this is a flower from this peace lily. So I just appreciate the way these plants never disappoint. You grow it, you water it, and it comes in its time. It's just always a surprise when I see the way plants react. What they need is for you to give them the right conditions, and they come along and produce beautifully for you. If it's something that is meant for food, they would come along and you'll have the harvest at the right time. They don't disappoint. They just know their season. It's always a wonder for me when I see plants start to flower and fruit at specific times. They have their clock within them and they always work to time. There's no delay and there is no disappointment when you're growing flowers. It's something that you can even use to set a clock. The, the way plants grow, you can know that this is the month for this plant to flower, this is the month for the next one to flower. Because in my garden outside, I have plants that are flowering each month of the year, and I know they do it year in, year out. The ones that are preparing to flower now, I have geraniums and they are flowering already. They don't fail, they just flower in their time, and it's beautiful. By the time January comes, we'll have the daffodils and the place will be filled with them. And then we would have the dianthus, the carnations in February. So they just follow each other, and the irises in March. They just follow each other, and this enables the garden to remain attractive and beautiful. And all we have to do is prevent pests from attacking them, and the plants will look good and healthy. This is my potato harvest from my potato bag. I just went out and said, okay, let me do a harvest from this potato bag today. And scratched and scratched and got this. The skin is so nice, shiny, and tender. It's I'm going to just cook it rustic like that because you don't need to be peeling this. You just use it as it is. This is very good potato. When you grow your own potato and you go out and you get this little harvest, then you know you can produce food. Next year, as the Lord wills, I'll keep some of these potatoes or some of the ones that I still have outside and put it back in the soil and it grows again. So we have for some potatoes for the following year. It's just a great way to notice that these things would always want to reproduce and give when they are well looked after. Because if I planted this potato and a lot of pests were around, we all know about potato blight. If it's been affected by potato blight, the leaves have been affected, the stem has been affected, then the potatoes that are going to be at the bottom will not look so good. In fact, if a potato plant is affected by blight, it will fall down because it's going to turn black. It will fall down and there won't be any formation of potatoes at the base because the potato didn't actually grow and stay alive enough to be storing food. A potato would first of all germinate, develop its roots, and then it carries on photosynthesizing, then it starts to store food because it's only natural that something will grow first, satisfy its entire body, and then it's the excess that it's getting from taking energy from the sun that is what is going to put away as storage. So this potato plant is putting this carbohydrate away as storage. And we go there because we planted it and harvest it and use it as food. So the potato plant has done its own bit. It produced its flowers, it's produced its roots, and left some food storage so that we can go there and harvest it. This system is always working in a cycle because now in the following year, some of those potatoes that have been produced are going to grow again. They will grow again and we'll have new potato plants. And those will produce more of these tubers that we have. So it's just a continuous cycle of producing food that we connect to as gardeners. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. You're welcome, Tony. Yeah, I can see. Thank you so much. Just talking about the beauty of having these potatoes, and they just produce this food, store up some, and we can go there and harvest it. It's such a beauty to have that type of cycle is set in place while we are sleeping, while we have gone to work somewhere else. The plant carries on photosynthesis, it carries on storing food, and then we can come back at a later date and get that food out of the soil. And it's going to be looking so good. You can't get there and be looking at it and say, oh, no. Even if you are thinking before that, I don't like eating food that is taken from inside the ground. After you have washed it and you look at it, you will see that this is real food. This is natural what we're supposed to be eating because it looks clean, it's shiny, it's so vibrant the way it looks. You would feel like eating it. And I don't even have to peel it or just grill it along with my chicken, and it's all right. I'll cook it rustic. Because if I'm saying, oh, let me peel it, you need to peel your potatoes if it's coming from a long distance, it's been taken to the supermarket, and you think, oh, maybe it's got some scratches on it and you're not sure. That's the only reason why you need to peel your potatoes. If not, if you planted it, you can eat it rustic. Even there are times, if you buy it from the shop and the skin is clean, you buy it from the shop and the skin is clean, then it's all right for you to use it without saying you want to peel it. It's just rustic potatoes, and it's all right to use it like that. It contains a very good, sizable portion of carbohydrates that gives us energy. It doesn't have gluten. It's very helpful for the system because you may have a few people that have allergies to gluten that you find in some other food, but not in potatoes. This is one advantage that we find with potatoes. It's very good. Okay. Um, this are just like Jerusalem artichokes. Now I have one pot of plants in my garden, and yeah, most of the vitamins are and the fiber are in the skin. Thank you. Most of the vitamins and fiber are in the skin. That is the reason why we should eat it with the skin on. Because when you cook it with the skin on, you get the fiber, you get the vitamins. Now I have one portion in my in a pot in my garden, and I was thinking what's inside it is perennial sunflowers. But I remember that somebody gave me Jerusalem artichokes from our community garden, and I planted those. And I'm not sure now if it's actually Jerusalem artichokes or if it's perennial sunflowers because the flowers came, but the plants were so tall. The plants were about 7, 8 feet tall. That's how tall they were, with all the flowers just blooming throughout the summer. So I'm not very sure of how to actually identify the difference between the Jerusalem artichoke and the perennial sunflower because I was told the flower of the Jerusalem artichoke will be smaller, but I haven't got anything to compare it with to know if the flower of this that I have is the one that is the smaller one. So what I'm going to do is when I put it on my YouTube video, then I will just probably not name it and wait for some other people to name it for me because I would actually like to grow the Jerusalem artichokes. I've heard about the benefits, the minerals they contain, and that they you just have to grow them once in any space, and you continue having um, Jerusalem artichokes year in year out. They are just as good as planting them in bags as well. You have a very large bag, you plant them in, they will stay upright and they are producing food in one corner. The important thing and beautiful thing about them as well is that they also produce lovely yellow flowers. Throughout the summer, there will be bees and other insects visiting, and this comes in looking very pretty and with an advantage of helping to pollinate your peppers, your tomatoes, your zucchinis, cucumbers, all the other plants that you're growing will be gaining from the bees that are being attracted by the perennial sunflowers or Jerusalem artichokes. When the bees come for them, because they are attracted to these lovely yellow flowers, they will also pollinate your tomatoes along the way. And this is a very big advantage. Jerusalem artichokes is good for, yes, it's good for diabetics to take it because its sugar content is quite low. Yeah, the sugar content is quite low. So with Jerusalem artichoke, it's a whole new level of goodness because you can take it and not have a worry of, oh, I'm taking too much sugar in. It's low sugar. It's actually more recommended for people who have diabetes to take it. Because some people will say, oh, don't take potatoes, don't take yam if you have diabetes. That's what you should take. You can take Jerusalem artichoke and it comes in very good. It's not very commonly sold in shops, but if you can get to grow it once, then you don't have to grow it again. Because if you grow it once, it will come back again and again. It's only if you want to use that space and you now maraud it and really, really scrape it, that is when you can get rid of Jerusalem artichokes. If you are still tilling it and pulling it out, there will always be one tiny bit of Jerusalem artichoke that will be left and it will grow back the following year. You will have Jerusalem artichoke growing in that spot for the next 15 years unless you drastically, maybe you concrete it over. That's the only way that you can stop the Jerusalem artichoke from growing. And if a piece of it drops somewhere else again, definitely it will start growing there. Because this past year, there was even one specific piece that I saw, and I knew this one is Jerusalem artichoke. And it grew so tall, and I knew this one is Jerusalem artichoke. But it's separate from where the rest were. They have the leaves looking just the same as the perennial sunflowers, but that one that I'm sure is Jerusalem artichoke was in another color, and the perennial sunflowers were in another color. So I couldn't really tell the difference between the two of them. They look so much alike. Alike. The only thing is that the stems are big, and when the stems are big, I can say this is Jerusalem artichokes because the Jerusalem artichokes they aim to grow very big because they are going to be producing some big. They actually have um, roots that look like this. So it's like a potato that is actually shaped like a ginger. That is what a Jerusalem artichoke would look like. But while you're growing it, it seems as if you're growing flowers. It's beautiful, but at the end of the day, you can just harvest your food and you have your Jerusalem artichoke. One other thing that I know that is an advantage is that even if the plant that I'm growing is perennial sunflowers, the roots are edible. It will not be as big as the Jerusalem artichokes, but it will still be edible. So I just haven't found all the time. Oh, sorry. I just haven't found the time to harvest the the perennial sunflowers. So that's why I've not been able to tell if it's actually um, Jerusalem artichokes or not. So when you're growing it and you find the time to harvest it, when I harvest it, I'll be able to tell the difference. It's yes, thank you. I just moved my I just adjusted my microphone now. Thank you very much for letting me know. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Yeah. So I just realized that it's what you put in the soil when you're trying to harvest it, you will actually be sure if it's Jerusalem artichoke or if it's um if it's perennial sunflower, because the Jerusalem artichokes will be much bigger than the perennial sunflower. But somebody has said to me that the perennial sunflower, the roots are also um, edible. Now I'm in London, and somebody keeps telling me you can keep chickens in London, and somebody was keeping chickens in London. But at the end of the day, he now said to me his neighbors were complaining. So I said, then it means you can't keep the chickens here, because I don't want my neighbors to be unhappy when they're hearing chickens and everything, because it would be very, very nice if I could keep chickens. I really, really would like to be able to keep chickens, because I like the way they walk around and everything. And I have a space where they can stay, but the noise will be too much, because I've kept chickens before. They are very noisy. They go couple couple, like almost like ducks, or which other one makes that couple. They just do it. It's very good to be able to get eggs from them, but they make a lot of noise. That's the one reason why I'm not keeping the chickens. And then I'll also have to consider how I'm going to keep them warm in winter, because when it becomes very cold, even I feel sorry for my earthworms outside there. So if I build a chicken coop, they will still be cold inside it. So I don't understand how people keep chickens here, because a lot of people tell me, oh, of course, we keep chickens, but I've never really seen how they keep it. I'm sure they use some electrically heated um, chicken coops. They use some electrically heated chicken coops, and that is how they help the chickens over the winter. So that's why. If not, I really, really like to be collecting eggs from my chickens. It's a very great experience collecting your own fresh eggs. Do you keep chickens where you are? Yes, yes. The vitamins in the eggs and the protein, it's very good. It's very good when you have chickens. And okay, yes, they but how will they? I thought maybe when you have the chickens and they're laying, you need a male one to be there as well. Okay, 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 that's a good idea. And then I can keep it outside, because I actually know how to build a chicken coop. I've done that many times for people who just want, and I'll just draw the design for them, and the chickens can walk in. But I would just be wondering if I can actually do that here, because of the winter. Because the winter, by November, those chickens will be very cold by now. And I know how to feed chickens without buying feed as well, because I know how to raise shoulder flies. I know how to breed soldier flies. I have the netting and everything. So, but it's just the keeping the chickens warm over the winter and keeping them quiet because of the neighbors. That's my only concern. That's made me not to keep the chickens over the years. If not, I just enjoy the idea of having, if you, even if it's just six of them, if you have just six chickens, you get a crate of eggs every week. And we don't use more than that. If you have chicken, 6 chickens, um, every week, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, yes, they eat all the food that we eat, and more earthworms from the compost bin. We go to them. Earthworms that I even have as spare, and these other birds flying around just eat them. If I can actually source it from a shop, I could try that as something of a project, because I have got some um, material that could be used to build a chicken coop, and it would be really nice. And I saw somebody building a chicken coop on YouTube the other day as well, and I actually took the time to watch all her 3 videos, and I watched it. Okay, yeah, yeah. Chickens eat almost anything. They eat everything that they can find, and they will just keep growing, and they lay so much eggs. It's unbelievable. It's a real money maker, like the tomato, to grow chickens, to grow your own chickens. It's one area that I'll seriously consider, because it's very good to be able to do that, and not have to go around, or we're looking for eggs. I'll find one of those shops in town where they will sell chicken, the little chickens. I think it's called pullets or something, and see how the people who are buying it from them are caring for them, because they will know. Yeah, the poo will be the number one thing that I would need from them. Now, the poo is the number one thing I need from the chicken, because they will help me to break down all my waste food. So I will cut up all the waste food, prepare it very well, make it in a way that is manageable for them, and I need a steady supply of chicken poo from them. That's one important reason why I will be keeping the chickens, because chicken poo goes a long way in a garden. It brings your plants out. I mean, it's the bed is fantastic for the plants. It's just nice to have the chicken poop, and use it to fertilize. This Put it at the base of this bag here, and put my ginger in it. It works so well when you have chicken poop for the garden, because it's just as good as, like, we have earthworm poop, chicken poop. Those are the kind of manures that work well when you are gardening. So if someone has some chickens, if you're in an area where you can keep chickens, then you'd have a steady supply of chicken manure. So I'll probably just do a video to show you how to build a chicken coop, because it's not difficult at all. It's very good and manageable to build to be organic manure too, because it will have helped me to break down the food from the kitchen that I'm actually giving to the earthworms. I can pass it through the chickens, and they will break it down as well. And I have chicken poop, very good for the garden. It's just a perfect system to have. But when you have to consider that the chickens might be cold, that's the only thing that I think that makes me to not want to bring the chickens and let them end up being guests in our living room. Because if you have the chicken right through the summer, and the okay, another thing, oh, yeah, rabbits too, rabbits too. Yeah, we had friends who have rabbits when I was young, and it was good. And as I'm thinking about it now, is it possible really to have the chickens through the summer and they can go away in the winter? That's a possibility that one can consider. Like if you've had your chicken right from March while they were young, and they've been producing eggs right from by the time they are 6 weeks old. No, you buy them, and 6 weeks later they start producing eggs. That means maybe they are now 12 weeks old. By the time they are 12 weeks old, and you should be ready to call them before the winter. Really, I think I should actually look into this chicken thing. It's going to actually work well. I will look into this chicken thing. Yeah, that's a very great idea. So that I can have the chicken poop, which is number one, and I can also have the eggs. And when I call it at the end of the year, I have um, organic chicken to eat. I think that's something that is doable. So when we look at these things, we find out that it actually works all towards our well-being. The months of the year, the times that these things come out into production. I'm going to study the chicken and try to understand when it comes in and what we can do. Yeah, one duck. Yeah, okay, and then one. Okay, that will be okay. That's good. Six chickens, four ducks, two cocks. Those are good. Those are good numbers. So, do you have those numbers, or those are numbers recommended to have in a garden? Because the six chickens, that's just all right. Because with six chickens, if you are getting 4 eggs, 3 eggs per day in 7 days, which is a week, you can fill a crate of eggs, a crate of 24, and it's just so good to have that. You don't have to keep the chickens over the winter, because I don't even know if they want to remain alive for so long when you can always get younger ones that will be laying bigger eggs, because they probably will be getting to the end of their own laying. If they've started laying around um, May, and they lay in May, June, July, August, September, October, I think by November, December, the chicken may want to go away. Maybe an idea to just let them go away after laying for about 6 months. That is one sure thing. Yeah, okay. To fight the viruses. That is good. I'll be having all of those. Okay. Okay. And then you would have a chicken coop as well that you keep. Uh, but do you keep ducks and chickens together inside the same coop, or less if it's a ground open ground where they don't have to be together? Because I don't think the ducks and the chickens will like to stay together. Mm, yeah, it's good to be able to raise chickens because okay, that is good. That is good. Yeah. Because I can't really remember how long those chickens, I don't remember how long they live for, but I know that there were some chickens, and I never really understood how long each one lived for, but I know that they were laying eggs just like that. Okay, so if they're going to live for 3 years, we have to make consideration for keeping them comfortable during the winter, because during the winter they will just stop egg production. That's all right, but they shouldn't die. That's my own concern, and they shouldn't be uncomfortable. That would be my major concern, because keeping them out there, I wouldn't want them to be dying or anything. At least I would want to make sure they are alive. One thing that I have, yeah, I even have an old bath bathtub. So, but then if the ducks will actually be able to stand the cold better, I like duck eggs. I like duck eggs more. Um, don't know why. I just like duck eggs a lot more. So I would actually prefer to have the ducks around laying a few eggs, and then it would be very nice. Have it playing around in the bath, and just splashing around during the summer. Then in the winter, it will also need to be properly kept in a place to keep it warm. That's still going to be the main thing to consider with keeping the dogs. You need to have it in a place where it's safe from the cold environment. You do as well. Yeah, I know. The ducks take a long time before it will lay. So maybe like once in a one or twice a week or something before the duck will lay. But when it comes, it's big, and so that's why one will keep about four ducks. Keep about four ducks and let them lay as they choose. That's I like the duck eggs. I like it boiled. I like it fried. I like it boiled. Yes. It's always nice. It's always nice to have duck eggs. And when they are fed with the food from the waste food, they produce very good eggs. Yes, I've had some of those. Yes, twice a week. Yes, twice a week. But since you're just giving them the waste from your food, in your kitchen, and you're giving them some insects and some earthworms, they will do very well. Yeah, it will be worth it. If the ducks can be safe out there, it will be worth it to keep some ducks. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, the ducks will eat up all the slugs. But then what happens is if I'm keeping the ducks, they will be they won't be walking around in the garden, because if they're walking around in the garden, they can run away. Ducks can fly. I don't want the ducks to fly away. Ducks can fly seriously. I experienced some people's dogs that have flown away before, and they'll be like, "Oh, those are somebody's dogs," and the dogs have gone away. Yeah, they flew away. So what do we do about that? The dogs flying away, because that's something to be considered. That's something to be considered, because I remember somebody saying they had to cut the the wings. Yes, that they had to cut the wings so that the ducks won't fly away. Yeah, that's it. That's it. If you cut the wings, that's very good. I would actually look into getting some of those and see how it works. But I would keep it away from my main garden. Yeah, because yeah, the flight feathers, the ones in front, so that if it lifts up, it can't stay. It will just go down again. Yeah, I've seen some people actually doing that. It's a long time ago, but memories come back when you when you see something again. The memories come back again. But you have to cut off the wings and keep an eye out because it will grow back again. So if it's growing back again, you need to cut it off again just to make sure the ducks don't fly away. Because you don't want your ducks flying away into the neighbor's property and disturbing them. That's the one main thing. That's not going to be very palatable if a strange duck flies into someone's property. They will just be wondering where this bird has come from. Yeah, yeah. We look into this ducks. I think it's a very good idea, but first you'd have to understand the keeping these birds warm over the winter, because they need to be warm so that they are not at a disadvantage. Also, we'll calculate that they would not be producing eggs over the winter, because when they are cold themselves, they need all the heat for their body, and they won't be producing any eggs during that time. They won't be producing any eggs. Yes, it's good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your coming, Tony. And I am seeing the work going on with the. I was saying, oh, you are cold. I hope you'd just go home, and you just said, oh, I need to go home and be with the boys now. So I was happy to hear that. So good night. Yeah, you said yeah. Okay, have a nice night and love to all of them. Okay, God bless. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here with me. Thank you for your help. I really, really appreciate you. Greetings. So, what we have here is a situation where we need to think about a few things that we can have together, because when planning for the future, planning for the future is not just about, oh, I'm going to do some academic work or I'm going to do some social work. You also need to plan about the food, because the food is actually in a very important position in our lives. So the food that we are going to eat, the food that family is going to eat, it's very important that we plan it. They always say those who fail to plan are planning to fail. So we're trying to plan, even if it's so minimal, it's not so big. We are not trying to produce 100% of the food we are going to be eating, but don't let's be completely dependent on markets for our food. Each person should actually be producing more of some specific thing that they can take to market or share with friends. That's when planning comes in and we say we have all planned. Because you need to plan and hope. Those are the surefire ways of ensuring success in our future. As this year is coming to an end, everyone knows when you say 2020, it's like you're saying, oh, well, 2021 will not be the same because we're going to plan. So if 2020 has been horrendous, let's plan for 2021. It's not because we didn't plan for 2020. We all know what happened, but let's plan for 2021. We need to plan more than we used to do before. We need to plan smartly, not plan to work harder. We need to plan with more things in position because nowadays you can see there's a whole lot of source of making incomes, making food that's available to us. Let's just seize all these opportunities and make use of them. If you want to grow part of your food, you don't need an extensive garden. You can grow whatever thing you choose, as little as it is, in a small bag. You put it in a corner of your house outside and it grows there. That is how we plan for the years to come. It's always a surprise, a happy surprise when you can go out into your garden and just take one of your bags and you pour it out and you can get lovely potatoes as this. Because I just put two potatoes in the bag in August, even. If I'll show you the ones that I put in the bag, like maybe May, to be more massive than this. But these ones just put in the bag in August, 120 days, and see what I have got. I have not even, I've only watered it twice. And I wasn't even aiming to water the potatoes. I was aiming to water the other plants that were around there. And I just watered the potatoes out as well anyway. From the time I harvested my tomatoes at the end of September, I have not been out there to even look at these potatoes, to even look at them. They were just growing. I've not been out there. But they are protected. They were just growing. And then over the past week, I would go there and take a few. I would go there and take a few. And then today I say, oh, let me pick this bag and just take all of them. And in that one bag, I found all this. I feel like eating potato dish very soon, maybe tomorrow. I'll probably be making a potato dish very, very soon because I really like the look of these potatoes. I'm not going to be peeling them because that's where the fiber is. The fiber, the mineral contents is all in the skin. So I'm just going to roast it along and have it as my meal. Onions and other mixed veg. That's because of looking forward, looking ahead. You take some seed, you put it in the soil, you put it in a convenient place out of your way. When you come back, you're going to find something on it. I was talking about this peace lily earlier. I was just coming home today and I was looking into somebody's shop and the peace lily was flowering and I thought, why is this person's peace lily starting to bloom? My own has not started to bloom. And then I got home and I'm like, so why is that person's peace lily starting to bloom? I didn't realize my peace lily was starting to bloom as well. It's a beautiful discovery. So you don't have to hold on to these plants. They just carry on growing, irrespective of whether look at it or you don't look at it, it will carry on growing. It will grow until it's ready to be harvested. You don't have to do all that. Uh, I'm going to do this for my potatoes. You don't have to do all of that. The only thing is get the good soil, get the good location, find a bag or a pot, plant your seed, put it where there will be sun because it needs sunlight. It depends on how long it stays in the soil. That's what determines how big it is. If it's the type that stays in the soil for a long time, it will probably grow very big. If it stays in the soil for a short time, it probably will be a bit small because it needs that time to photosynthesize and transfer the carbohydrates down to be stored. So you just want to keep your options open as to producing food that your families can eat, that you yourself can eat. These potatoes, we can't finish eating these potatoes in one meal because we're going to put onions, peppers, carrots, sweet corn. It's going to be a hot pot. So these potatoes, we probably use half of it, and the pot is full. And then we have chicken and other meats in as well. So it's not as if you need so much potatoes. This can do 2 meals. There's 2 meals for 4 people, and it just goes on. Just a little planning, and you can produce the food that you need without so much stressing, and keep it from being eaten by pests, from being uprooted. You make sure that it's not in the way of where somebody is going to come along and say, oh, well, I needed to use that place, and you know I use that place. Now you have to uproot it. And you have to carry in your bag of potatoes, and then the stems are breaking. You want to make sure that it's well located in a safe, tight corner. As we have been growing this um, ginger today, you put it in a safe corner. The garlic, you put in a safe corner. You can always have little corners where you can just put one bag, one bag. When it starts growing, it's just going to be some green leaves. Make sure where you put it, it can receive sunlight so that with the sunlight, it's able to photosynthesize to its maximum capacity. And that ensures that you would have food stored in the roots when you come along to harvest it. So that when you come along to harvest your crop, like I went to harvest my potatoes, I found something there. When I go to harvest the ginger that I just planted today, I'm going to be doing that sometime around July. I expect to find something there. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Good evening. I can see you. Thank you. I appreciate your coming. So when you see that some um some things need to be done and you plan it ahead, it will always work well because that is putting things in place ahead of when an event is going to occur. So you've already put these potatoes in the soil. I did that for these potatoes. I did it was actually 1st of August. I just put the two potatoes in the bag of soil, and see, I went there. I brought out a few the other day. I brought out a few, and today I just went and got this amount from just the bag of potatoes. I consider it to be a good way of planning ahead because then I get something in return for my plan. That is a very surefire way of having a profit out of your efforts. Because there's a saying that we will be successful, but we will have to work for it. Who doesn't want to work for success? So let me not say who doesn't want to work for success, but let me say who doesn't want to be successful. So we will be successful, but we will work for it. So if we break that down, who doesn't want to be successful? Everybody wants to be successful. So what we're going to do is just the little work that is required. It's just a little amount of work that is required. You do this little work and you go away and you come back. In fact, this growing these potatoes, to me, it's a no-brainer. I never knew it was this easy because the potatoes are so clean. I was thinking they will be looking somehow, and the carrots will be looking. So I only like to plant peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchinis, those things that you're going to harvest at the top of the soil. Those are my favorites. Well, because I enjoy seeing it while it's growing. But these potatoes that I've harvested, I'm so happy. I'm going to be growing more potatoes out of this potato. Because the thing is, I've always had potato growing over the years, but I'll just not concentrate on it. I'll just have maybe like three or four somewhere. I can even put some and leave it and let the slugs eat it. I'll use it as a slug barrier. And if it successfully grows and I find three or four potatoes under it, I'll just. But now seeing that if you create a little space, maybe a bag, and you specifically put your potatoes in, when you're going to be harvesting, you will get some really beautiful crop. Then I'm going to concentrate and plant with plan. We all need to be planting these Irish potatoes, sweet potatoes, ginger, garlic, these root crops. Excuse me. Thank you. These root crops, because they produce food while you're sleeping. You just need to put it where there is sun. You don't even have to be bothering maybe slugs I thought all the slugs in the soil will eat up all the potatoes, but no. The potato skin is looking so fresh as a tomato skin. That is a big surprise. I think everybody should go out and plant tomatoes. I mean potatoes. I'm so happy because I've already got 4 sweet potatoes that I'm planning to plant yes next year. If I have not got them and I got this harvest today, I will have gone out tomorrow to go and get my sweet potato from the shops. So you need to get sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, and plan towards next year. You're going to plant potatoes next year. It makes a very good part of our diet. It helps with the blood sugar. It doesn't have so much sugar in it. It helps, it's got minerals. It doesn't have gluten. It's just great to be able to grow your own potatoes and use it as your staple food. You can have other staple food, but I think something that you can grow easily is better to use. Because if you take rice as your staple food, which is what most of us do, we take rice as our staple food, but we can't grow rice easily. You should take the food that you can grow as your staple food so that you can grow loads and loads and loads of it. I'm hoping next year the amount of potatoes I will bring forward, anybody will say, that's what I'm waiting for. God helping me. I'm going to grow so much potatoes next year. I won't be able to giving it out, eating it all the time, everything. We won't be able to finish it because it's just no stress at all. I just put it in the soil and forgot about it. But I made sure it's in a place where the sun can reach it. And it grew. And I was thinking, the slugs, the earthworms, slugs don't eat potatoes. Even some squirrels went there and uprooted some. That was when I knew that the thing had potato under it. When some of my squirrels went there and they uprooted it and then dropped it. And I'm like, potato. And then I said, okay, August to, that was in the end of November. Well, yeah, we're almost close to 120 days. The squirrels made me realize that the potatoes were actually ready. And I still left it there for another 2 weeks. And I went and uprooted it today. So I'm really surprised because I like the lovely appearance of these potatoes. They really look nice. And you just cook it and eat it like that. That's a great diet, if you ask me. So please try, show some people how to grow these things or grow them yourselves. Thank you. Let me share this video. You can show some people how to grow it or grow it yourselves. Even if you think you don't have space, if you use a bag, you can place it, just stash it into one corner. Just make sure the sun can get to it and it will grow. At the end of the length of time that you're supposed to be growing it for, and you see that it's starting to do as if it wants to start flowering, and then it starts to yellow, the leaves start to yellow, and then the plant goes away, just go and look in the soil. You wouldn't believe the amount of food you will find in there. These are the foods we should call our staple foods, the foods that are easy for us to grow. I'm not calling rice my staple food anymore because I can't even grow rice anyway, but I can grow potato. So I would take potato above rice, and I would advise everybody else to do the same. It doesn't have to be fried chips. You can cook it with vegetables. You can cook it with meat pie. You can cook it with hot pot. Just let it be the main starch in your food. And it helps. It goes a long way to stretch your income. Growing all these foods is like something you do in your spare time. Instead of sitting down and getting lazy, pick up something, put some, take it to the place and keep it there and go and rest. You wash your hands. It doesn't have to be that you're holding onto it permanently until it has ripened. It stays in the sun, and the sun is the one that is growing it. This let's all consider what we want as our staple food. As a staple food, as in what is the food that is most recurrent, will be very recurrent in your diet. And you see that a lot of people use rice, 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 rice. That's not a lot of people can grow rice, but everybody can grow potatoes. And I've just proved that. Because somebody says just put it in the soil and go back and pick it up after 120 days. And that's what I did. And I found potatoes there. Give this video consideration. God helps those who help themselves. We are going to help ourselves. Thank you very much. And unless you have any questions or suggestions, I'll bring this live stream to an end. Okay. Thank you very much and bye. See you tomorrow. Some take 60 to 70 days, Some take 60 to 70 days to grow. Some take 120 days to grow because they are different types. The ones that take 120 days to grow are called main crop. That is, they grow for the main season. The ones that take 60 to 70 days to grow, they will either grow in the early part of the year or grow in the later part of the year, and they'll just be ready in 2 months, 60 days. So some 60 days, some 120 days. Those are two different types. Yes, that's how long it takes to grow. That's because there are two different types. We also have some potatoes that all the potatoes will be produced right at the bottom of the roots. And we have some that the potatoes you'd have to keep putting soil, putting soil. That is the type that grows for 120 days. You'd have to keep putting soil. It's called healing. Heal. HILLING. You keep healing it. You put in soil because it's trying to grow out of the soil, but you're covering it more and more with soil. That's the one that takes a long time to grow. So the the earlies and the lates take 60 days. The main crop takes 120 days. And that's just 4 months. I planted this in August, September, October, November. And I just went there and harvested it. And that's it. Okay. Have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you very much. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Indiana Backyard Gardener. Um, I really appreciate you coming. I was showing how I grow garlic in a bag and ginger as well. Also, I made mention not to crack your garlic, leave it as a bulb until you're ready to plant it. So you just crack it and put it in the soil. Don't crack it and keep it for like the next 3 4 days before coming to plant it. The best thing is to crack it on the day and plant it. The same for ginger. You cut it and plant it on the same day. And then I was talking about planting potatoes. This is my tomato harvest to reveal. Planting potatoes in a bag like this, just two potatoes, and I went there to harvest it. And I'm really, really, really grateful. I'm happy because the potatoes look so nice. So I consider this to be something that I will be doing more frequently now. I'll just be planting a lot of potatoes. Yeah, crack it only when you're ready. Leave them as whole because some people will say, "Oh, I'm going to plant 10 or 20," or crack it on the day when you're sure. Because I've been saying I'm going to plant this garlic for the past 1 week. So let's say I had cracked it since then, it will just be getting drier and drier by the day. And I was only able to successfully plant it today. So when you have your soil ready and you know you're definitely, then crack it. Even if you want to plant 10, you can crack 10 garlic. You want to plant 10 garlic, that's going to be about 90. You can crack it in 30 minutes before you put it in the soil. That will give the best results. Yeah, just two. Just two. I'm going to plant two as well, but I was only able to plant two this evening. That's why the other one is still in there. I've not cracked it yet. When I'm going to crack it, maybe tomorrow when I get another bag like this ready with the soil, that's when I'll crack it and I'll put it in the soil right away and cover it. Some of them, when I cracked it, I found that they're already actually growing out. It's just that it's not yet showing. Once they get in the soil, they start growing. Then after planting garlic, if it's not in the soil and you put it in something that's movable, move it to a warm place. If it's something that is not movable, cover it with some blankets or some leaves just to keep the soil warm because the garlic wants warm soil. So cover it with some leaves or some blankets. That's the best thing the garlic wants. It wants to be kept warm for at least the first week or two. It starts to germinate, it comes up, then you can leave it because you know the cold is going to take it away. If you leave it, let the cold take it away. Because when it has been taken away, that's when it's going to divide into all the different cloves again. But you first have to keep it warm and let it grow. So when it's been allowed to grow, then that's what will crack. You will know when the soil is ready to plant. Is when the garlic is ready to plant because some of them will start growing out, and that usually happens towards the end of the year if you are in the temperate region. If you are in the tropical region, it happens when the wind is blowing dry, like what we call Hamatan wind. When the wind is blowing dry, that's about the time that you grow your garlic, because it will start showing this little head trying to grow up. Thank you very much. I can see. Welcome. And that's when you put it in. But you want to make sure that the soil is not too cold. And one thing is, you don't have to water it on the day you plant it, unless, okay, if that's a very, very cold area. Because I think I am in London, and sometimes some people will relate it London to zone 6, which means you are a bit colder, but you are actually quite close to, oh, I don't know if it's the other way. I don't know if it's the other way. Sorry. But you will know. But I am in London, and it's called zone 6 to 7. That's it. And this is the time we should be growing it. So in your zone as well, which is zone 5, this is the time you should be growing it, because you're going to be seeing very cold days and nights now. So this is the time you should be growing it. And it's so convenient to grow. You can grow it in a bag. Just keep it warm for the first 1 or 2 weeks. The soil, you want to keep the soil warm. That is, don't place it somewhere that is too exposed. Place it in a corner and then cover it with a blanket. The soil will remain warm, and the plant will be encouraged to germinate. When they germinate and you see those little green fingers just coming, then you can take the blanket off. When the cold comes and it kills them, they've already started germinating. That will enable them to break into the different cloves that you're going to be harvesting as a single one next year. You know, this was planted as a single garlic clove. So when it started germinating and the cold came, during the cold weather, it broke into pieces. And that's why we have all this. That's how the garlic is created. It starts growing, it grows cold. During the cold time, when the ground is solid, garlic cracks and you have many cloves in it. That's how, yeah, 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 yeah. Zone zone 5 means you should be growing your garlic at this time. Means you should be growing your garlic at this time. That's very close to what we have here, because I'm in the UK, and we are called, like, we are almost like zone 6, between zone 6 and 7. That's what the UK is called. So about now, you should be growing your garlic. But if you have not grown it yet, and we're already in the first week of December, you want to keep it warm so that it can germinate. You don't want to just put it in the soil and let it freeze, since when it hasn't even known that it's been planted. You want it to wake up, start growing. You see, that means when it goes away because of the cold, it will be able to crack into several cloves for the following year. Because I've seen people uprooting garlic and it has only one bulb. That's because it didn't get that growth crack time. So it just grew into one large garlic bulb. It didn't get the chance to grow and then go back and freeze. and divide. Yes, I'm going to put this outside in a week's time. I plant outside, outdoors. I plant outdoors. Yes. So I'm going to just keep it in here because it's taking me a while to plant it. I wait for it to germinate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know Zone 5 is in the US. Yeah, that is a portage. Is that Indiana? Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I'm planting it outside, but it's because I want it to remain warm. That's why I'm going to keep it inside for a week. I want it to germinate indoors and then I'll put it outside. And when I put it outside, the cold will take it away. When the cold takes it away, to crack and come back next year, and we will have cloves in the garlic. If I don't allow it to grow and go away, it won't crack. It will just grow and grow big. And that's a different kind of garlic. A garlic that has just one clove. Yes, it is still garlic, but you would rather your garlic broke into separate cloves than one single large garlic that has no cloves on it. Because that can also happen. Thank you very much, Gloria Johnson. I really appreciate you. Thank you. You're welcome. I really appreciate you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, growing garlic outside. That's if you have a bit of cold weather and warm weather. So you first of all want it to germinate indoors and then you put it outside and let it go away. Then when it comes back in the spring, it will give you a very big garlic. It will give you a very big garlic and to be separated into all the different cloves. I've planted one of this evening into this bag. I broke it up and planted it. Now, the reason why I've not broken this one up is because you shouldn't crack your cloves. You shouldn't crack your garlic into cloves until you're ready to plant them. Yes, you keep it indoors, then you take it outdoors after it has germinated. So you keep it indoors for about a week. You start seeing some green heads poking out. Then you put it outdoors because it needs that cold spell as well. It needs that cold spell to take it away and allow it to break into the different cloves. That's what helps the garlic to grow because if it's growing as a single one that's not broken, it cannot grow as big as this. It may grow big, bigger than what you put in the soil, and it will be edible, but it won't have the chance to grow to its biggest potential. So we want to make sure that we encourage it to have an opportunity to crack by putting it out in the cold for a certain period. Thank you very much. Yeah, what you do is if the ground is frozen, you can water it, it will pass over it, and when it's time, it will be absorbed. But you don't want to water it on the day you plant it because your soil is not that dry. Your soil is a bit damp anyway. If it's garden soil, it will have a bit of dampness, it will have some earthworms in it. Just put the cloves in and cover it. I didn't water this. I'm just going to keep it in and then take it out later. That's what is going to create a garlic just like this. If I'm keeping it outside, it may not be able to grow and the ground will be frozen. Because if the ground is frozen, even this bag that I put outside will freeze. They're all out there. Yeah. When you're ready and you've cleared the space that you're going to grow your garlic in, that's when you should crack it. Don't crack it like 2 or 3 days before. You can crack it on the on the morning and plant it in the afternoon, or crack it in the afternoon and plant it later in the afternoon. So you just put it into the soil. Make sure it's fertile soil, soil that is very rich in humus. So when you put these cloves in, you cover the soil. You also cover it with maybe leaves or a blanket because you want to keep it warm. You don't want it to be very cold. So when you keep it warm, it will germinate quickly, and you will see the grains coming out. But when the cold comes and it dies, that's not a problem. That's actually part of the life cycle of the garlic. When it goes away after having germinated, it's trying to break into separate cloves during that period. So it can go away over the Christmas and then it comes back maybe late January. By then, it will have all the cloves in place. You will be harvesting this between June and July. It will take that long to harvest, but it will grow very well. One thing that is an advantage is that it doesn't get pests troubling it. It's actually a pest retardant. So that's one advantage. So the only thing we have to consider is to make sure the soil is fertile so that this can grow well. And also keep an eye, make sure some animals are not coming and walking along all over your garden and just sticking their legs over it. If the place is protected and you don't have any animals walking around over the place, your garlic will come out looking good. Fertile soil, keep it warm for the first few days, then don't worry about the cold. In 7 months, you will harvest your garlic. Those are the three things that the garlic needs, and it will grow. Just the same with the ginger, but the ginger doesn't separate. You put the ginger in the soil, it will grow out and start getting bigger. So what you would note is that this ginger is a bit big. They could be disturbing each other. So I would break this ginger into about four. Break this ginger into about four and put it in soil. Don't overload one single area because if the area is overpacked, then there won't be space for them to grow and you don't know what the potential is. If there's space, this will grow and take all the space that is around it. But if you already limited it by putting too many of them inside the same container or too close to each other in the same area, then they won't be able to reach their potential. So to reach its potential, give it the spacing about 4 5 centimeters apart, and they will grow well. Okay. Thank you very much, and greetings to the family. I'll be seeing you. Okay, I will expect you. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christy. You're welcome. Hello. You're welcome. How was your day? I hope you had a nice day at work. Yeah, good. How's Nevia? Is all right. Thank you. So we are growing our garlic tonight. And I said everybody can grow garlic because you can get one old shopping bag. I think I've moved it. I've actually covered it. Okay. I get one old shopping bag and it's got soil in it. I have two garlic to grow and I just cracked up the first one. I'll put the cloves in all over. I will keep it indoors for about a week so that it can germinate. After that, I'll put it outside. After it has germinated, it can go away and it will come back and be all right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Indiana Backyard Gardener. See you again. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Christy Akeredolu. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Christy Lani. Yeah, nice. So, what I was saying is we should have a look at the potato that I harvested from putting just these two potatoes into a bag. The bag was just like this. That was in August. It was actually August 1st. I remember the date because somebody had said to me 120 days. So I wanted to count it. And I've been able to go there today. It's now 127 days. I harvested some on that day that it hits 120 days, but that wasn't a day that I was ready to harvest. So I've now gone there today and taken some time, and I got this much. It's really incredible because if we are talking about staple food, that is the food that we eat most often, it should be a food that we can produce. A lot of us, someone like me, if you ask me for my staple food, I'll probably say maybe rice, but I can't grow rice. So this henceforth will be, yeah, the potatoes are beautiful. That's exactly what I said. I said these potatoes are beautiful. I'm not going to be peeling them or anything. I said these potatoes are beautiful. I'm just going to have them along with my onions and mixed veg. This is a real good thing that everyone should be trying. Just get a bag, get a potato that you got from the market, and put it in. And you are well on your way to harvesting in either 60 days or 120 days. Because you don't know, it could be a 60-day type or 120-day type, because there are two types of potatoes. And you get it. It's just honestly, that everybody keeps saying we should get allotments and things. It is true, but then while we're waiting for the allotment, right around the house, I stuck this potato in a corner right at the top so that when the sun was rising, the sun will get there first. It didn't even have a space on the ground. This bag of potatoes didn't have a space on the ground. I had to hang it up somewhere. And then it started growing. And I got these potatoes. I don't even have to peel it. I'm just going to cook it like this and have it rustic. This is what I call growing your own food, because you can grow something that is really a specific part of your diet, that is really important for your health. It doesn't have all this gluten and things that people will say, oh no, I can't take this because of gluten. I can't. So it's actually a very welcome food. You just have it as a hot pot with some vegetables, onions, sweet peas, and you have your balance with protein in it. It's something that I considered to be very, very important. You are not going to be peeling this. It doesn't need peeling because the minerals and vitamins and the fiber are actually in the skin. And since it has not traveled hundreds of kilometers to get to me, I'll just wash it and cook it. This is the kind of potatoes we should be growing. Because if you say um, yam is your staple food, you can't grow it. If you say rice is your staple food, you can't grow it. If you say bread is your staple food, you can't grow wheat. Take potatoes as your staple food and you can grow potatoes. I think it works nicely that way. I sincerely think it works nicely. Something you can grow, you should eat more often. It actually helps to put all the accounts in the right positions. You get such satisfaction indeed. You get such satisfaction harvesting your potatoes, your peppers, tomatoes, apples, oranges, just in small, small batches. You have enough for the household. The ones that you have more than enough, then you can give to others, because people will come here bringing me bowls of onions, bringing me zucchini, and what's that other one they would use, I will use for coleslaw. I can't remember the name. That was it. I'd never made coleslaw before until somebody brought that thing to me, and a friend said, "Oh, you can use it for coleslaw." We have they brought carrots as well, so we use the carrots and the other one and made coleslaw with it. It was great. We were eating that coleslaw for the next 3 days. It's really, really good. It's so satisfying because you do this thing in your free time instead of sitting down, just getting weaker in your joints. You're moving, you're doing activities, you're thinking. It really does help if one is involved in doing food production because it's great. Somebody was telling me earlier, like, how about producing our own eggs? And I said, I don't know about the difficulty of the chicken because we are in a place where it will get cold. But if that is also possible, why not? We can easily produce the food that we eat so that our income is not like, oh, I'm spending a very high percentage of my income on food. We can spend just a little percentage of our income on food and have the rest of our income for some other things that need to be done because the food is mainly taken care of. And when you're growing your own food, you're better off health wise, money wise. You're happier, you're eating healthier food. It's just a good way of approaching these things when you're growing your own food. Okay, I will make that my topic tomorrow. I will make that enriching the soil with minerals. I will make that my topic tomorrow because I've been thinking of when to bring that in. And a lot of people need to learn these things, how to do it safely and neatly. I have here, just right beside me, as I'm sitting down, I have here, that's food. Just the mango peels, pineapple peels, plantain peels, rice that we don't want to eat, any waste food has been placed in this container and I just lid it. And then when it's a fortnight, I used to do it every week before, but the food was not breaking down properly. I would take it outside and put it into my soil. It feeds the soil, it replenishes the soil with minerals, nutrients, because they all came from the soil initially. So returning it to the soil is actually what we should be doing, not throw it in the bin and let the council carry it away. We should return it to the soil and grow something in it. Also, leaves, the leaves that are falling from trees, the roots have gone all the way down and brought up a lot of nutrients. Then these leaves are falling off the tree. Some of the nutrients are in the leaves. And if you're walking past somewhere and you see a pile of leaves that's the rain has just fallen on, if you try to move the leaves, you know what you're going to find under it? A whole load of earthworms. The earthworms know that the leaves is good food. That's why they stay there. So that's another thing that we're going to be adding to our soil. So I will put all those into what I will discuss tomorrow. And I will expect to see you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your being here because we really need to look at the different things we can do to improve the situations and not just be worrying, but be hopeful. We shouldn't be worried, we should be hopeful. How will we be hopeful? Is if we make plans. Gardeners tell each other everything. We're not in competition. This is how you're supposed to grow it. This is how you're supposed to grow it. This is how I grow mine. This is what I discovered. Gardeners tell each other everything so that we can all grow very good quality food and we have good food right round. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate you. And I feel pretty much encouraged by your presence. The soil is always in a state after each year of planting, whether it is food you planted in it or it is weeds that planted themselves in it, the soil will be depleted. So we need to know how do we return this soil to normalcy? How do we replenish the soil with amendments, different forms of amendments? And I will prepare to show you the different things that I used to amend my soil tomorrow evening. I have right on, this is my office. Right under my table, those are eggshells. They're going for the soil and the compost bin. They're not going into the bin. They will be carted away by the council. So I would prepare information on all those, and that's what we will talk about tomorrow. If you want any other topic discussed, you can just ask, and I'll put it on the day after and go along just like that. All the people that work in food production find it easier to produce good food if their soil is good. So, if somebody is in a garden and is producing and everything is always coming out nicely, it's because that person is feeding the soil. If you're not feeding the soil, the plants won't be coming out nicely. You have to be feeding the soil regular intervals. And since you are feeding the soil, mm, I normally aim to start between 6 and 7. So I would say 7. Thank you. So all those things have to be put into the soil. They get leached away when it rains. They get used up even by weeds. When you see dandelions, dandelions have such long roots. They go right deep into the soil. They're collecting all the minerals, all the nutrients from the soil. But they're not collecting it just for themselves. When they have it in their flowers and the flowers fall off, then it's given to the surface of the soil because a lot of people do not harvest these dandelions. But right within the flowers of the dandelion is a lot of nutrients. It's very rich in vitamin C and a lot of other weeds as well. They bring up nutrients from deep in the soil. Feverfew, that's a kind of daisy. It's very tiny. It's always showing up in gardens. It's tiny yellow. If you have, I mean, on lawns, if you have a green lawn, you look outside in about 2 3 weeks, you see these white and yellow flowers growing out. Those are the feverfew. They are trying to extract minerals, nutrients from the earth and then give it to the surface. So, with their long roots, herbs, roots, sorry, weeds have a purpose. They have long roots so they can reach deep down into the soil, get more nourishment, and when they die, the surface of the soil will get enriched because they know, well, nobody is going to be picking us anyway. And this is the reason why those weeds that are edible we should eat. For example, the dandelion. The dandelion is edible, we eat it. The smelly William, the Hap Robert, also called death come quickly, they all have their uses, but their main reason for being there, you see that they always have very long roots. If you uproot them, they will still grow again the following year. That's because they have deep roots and they are bringing to the surface a lot of nutrients for the surface that has been depleted. Even Bodleia, which is a flower, that purple flower, buzz plant that's always having butterflies, it has such deep roots that if you cut it up and you don't really uproot it, it will grow again. For the fact that they are growing very deep into the earth's surface, into the earth's bowel, they are bringing up a lot of nutrients stored in their leaves. So all those leaves contain a lot of minerals. That's what we should be using to treat our soil. And all the depletion will be taken care of. Because if those weeds were not there and those deep rooted plants were not there, you have a rain this week, you have a rain next week, probably have an erosion sometimes, you grow some food, then all the nourishment, minerals, nutrients at the surface will be finished. But because we have those ones with deep roots, they absorb and deliver nutrients to the surface of the earth. Now, what we do with it is what determines whether our garden is going to get that nourishment or not. For example, by the time you are weeding, you're picking up all these weeds, you go and put it in the bin and it gets carted away. Or you mow your lawn, all those grass clippings, you put it in a bin bag, it goes away. Those are the nourishments from your soil. Because that's what's in the body of the plants that you're throwing away. All those green leaves, all those green grass, their bodies contain minerals, vitamins, other nutrients that other plants would have used to grow. So, what we should do, what I do, and what a lot of other gardeners do, you just spread this as a mulch over your garden bed so that when it now breaks down, your plants can receive the nourishment. If it's been carried away by a bean man, it's wherever they take it to, that's where it's going to get used. But you want to retain it in your own garden so that your garden can be fertile. That is what you see year in, year out, even without buying, because some people will buy four, five, six bottles of fertilizers. And you just see somebody who just buy one bottle of fertilizer and their crop is the same. That's because this person is using all those natural sources of nutrients. And the person that is just buying bottles and bottles and bottles of fertilizers is just killing the earthworms, because the earthworms don't want to be fed fertilizers continuously. The microbes cannot really feed on fertilizers. The microbes will be gone. So if the microbes are gone, the earthworms depend on the microbes. It means the earthworms will be reduced. So a garden can use fertilizers. That's my one point. But the garden must also use those natural resources that return the nourishment, the minerals back to the soil. Don't let all those minerals that are present in your grass clippings, in the leaf fall, just go away like that. I collect the leaves from the tree at the back of my house. That's what I use to mulch my garden. Or I just leave it in a bag on the floor at the back. And after 6 months, some people will say after 2 years, but I don't even wait. After 6 months, I just put it in gradually with the compost, and it breaks down. It breaks down. When I go for the compost, it comes along and I put it in my bed. It's giving out its minerals, and um, my plants are using it. The plants are using all the minerals from from the leaves, the grass clippings, the eggshells, the plantain peels, all these sources, waste, food waste, the plants are using it and they are loving it because it's more accessible for the earthworms. And when the earthworms are buoyant in your garden soil, then it means your soil is very rich. It's going to be able to support your plants very well. Your harvest will be incredible. It will be a big yield. You can grow a large number of crops because there are some crops that don't like fertile soil, but most crops like fertile soil. So, growing your tomatoes, growing your peppers, growing your zucchinis, growing your strawberries, your blackberries, your vegetables. Your vegetables will be huge. Your kale, spinach, they will all grow big. Blueberries, they will all grow big and beautiful. But if you have soil that is not very rich, they will just be struggling. And when a plant is struggling, the tendency for it to succumb to diseases is higher because it's already stressed out. If a plant is buoyant, it's able to resist diseases more. And that's another advantage of having very fertile soil, disease resistance. So it helps your plants to overcome a lot of diseases that could have overtaken them. You'd find out that using fertile soil for growing in your garden works so well that it's it's the only way to come across or to come towards gardening using fertile soil. If you want to start a garden, you have to consider the soil. That's the first thing. There is no soil that is not good. You have to do something about it. So don't say, oh, the soil is not good, so we can't use it. What you would say is, we want to use this soil for gardening, so we need to feed it. So you start feeding your soil with waste food, grass clippings, leaves that are falling off. You look all around after it has rained, you collect the earthworms, put them in, and they are all in there together. That soil fertility will be improved because all those glass clippings, all those leaves that are falling will break down. We have germs, microbes all in the atmosphere. They will be working on the leaves. They will help decompose the leaves and make it available for your plants to use. And you have rich soil. You may buy some more soil if you like, but at least the little amount of soil that you probably have from collecting the leaves, the grass, the food waste together, then you now mix it with some soil in your backyard and some soil that you buy. Your soil will just be perfectly happy, dancing around, looking for a plant to come and grow inside so that this gardener of mine can have a good harvest. Even the soil will be happy with you. The soil will be crumbly and dark, will be rich, and every handful we had about 5, 6, or 10 earthworms, and be assured that that handful has millions, billions of microorganisms. And you would also note that it's not only earthworms you see so many other insects, so many other things, but they are beneficial. They will not be harming your plants. They are just part of the soil ecosystem. Since you're growing, your plants are not lying there on the soil. The ones that are growing on vines are supported. The ones that are growing upright are growing upright. Then your plants will grow in such a way that there will be no interference between the organisms that are down there and your plants because they are separate from each other. That is, they are distant from each other. Your plant is growing up, the one that's not growing up is supported to grow up. There will be a kind of a space that you can see. It's not as if the plants are just there all over the soil. So your crop will not get eaten. For example, I'm planning to grow cucumber next year. The cucumber plant just likes to go around and around on the ground, but I'm going to actually support it on a little height so that it's going around and around on a raised portion, not just directly on the ground. And that's how I'm going to prevent diseases in the soil from latching onto the cucumber. It works out for both of us. The microorganisms in the soil, they get to live their life, and the plant gets to produce very good crop for me because the microorganisms in the soil are needed. We don't want to get rid of them. They are the ones that will break down the food so that the earthworms can feed on it, and give you a good harvest. I will talk more about this tomorrow. Are you still here, Christy? And I'll talk more about this tomorrow, and I would have all the details, what each thing that we add to our soil would actually contain, so that you can know what you're adding to your soil, what it's going to, how it's going to benefit your soil, and so you know whether to add more of one particular item or more of the other, depending on what you're growing in it. Okay, yeah, that's all right. Thank you. I just um I just wanted to see if, yeah, I hope your everything is fine and you're enjoying this video. Okay, thank you. Gloria, are you still here? Christy Alatayo. Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate you. So it's just one important thing for us to make sure our soil is properly prepared. Then the plants will grow very well. That's the more important thing in gardening, is having soil and knowing how we're going to, every year, year in, year out. Because I've got some friends who said to me, "Oh, we started gardening, we put all the things you said. The first year it was all right, and then second year, the thing didn't grow very well." And I said, "Did you put all the things again the second year?" And he said, well, we put it, we put it the first year." And I'm like, "No, if you go somewhere and you've had a nice week eating and drinking, if you're coming back the following week, aren't you going to bring food so you can have a nice, you need to put the thing there for the new set of plants that you're growing." So it's just about that unconscious planning, putting all the food waste, putting the eggshells, putting things in different places, so that when you want to use it, you just grab some, you do what you want to do with it, and you put it in the soil, and your soil is well fed and very all right. That's what it takes when it comes to feeding the soil. It's it's necessary. It's necessary to feed the soil when we're gardening, and it doesn't take. It takes the freest things to feed the soil, the things you don't need anymore: old food, spoiled food, waste food, the leaves that are falling off trees, grass clippings, chicken poop, horse poop, cow poop, Nobody wants that anymore. All those manures. But you can't just take any horse poop or cow poop. I'll talk about that tomorrow. But when you get it from a good organic area, horse poop and cow poop, they're very, very good to use in our gardens. Because it's just like you've taken your food and you've put it inside a machinery and it's turned it around and broken it into pieces, it's chewed it up, and then it's come out through the body of the animal as poop. That's very readily available. The bacteria will work on it a little more, and the earthworms will just be producing poop because the earthworms will now eat it again and produce earthworm poop, which is smoother and darker. They produce more poop, and your plants will be very, very happy. Those are the ways that will replenish the soil that's been depleted because everywhere in the world the soil is being depleted. We just need to be replenishing the ones in our own garden if we want to be using it to grow. We don't say take all of it away to the bin man, and then after it's gone, we go and start buying chemical fertilizers to grow. No, those food wastes, all the leaf fall from the trees, all the grass clippings, those are the things we should be using for, excuse me, those are the things we should be using for our gardens. So those are the things we should be using for our gardens and skip. Yeah, so those are the things we should be using for our garden, and I think we should be ending here today so that we don't make this too tiresome for whoever wants to go and rest. This has been 2 hours 45 minutes. Thank you very much once again. Um, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Welcome. Thank you. Ooh, thank you. You're welcome. You can just ask me your questions and I'll answer those. Just type in your question and I'll answer your question. Okay, we were just waiting for 2:45. Thank you very much for being here. I really, really appreciate you. Okay, we have 2 hours 45 minutes. I don't know if you were here when I first started talking about growing our garlic. That was the main thing we started with. And I just suggested that we should wait until the day we're going to plant the garlic before we break it up. That's how it's going to grow best. And then we planted, I had 2 garlic to plant, and I planted one in here this evening. And I'm going to keep this bag indoors because I want it to remain warm. I don't want it to go outside and get very cold. So I keep that bag. Got a bowl here. I'm going to use. I'm going to put it in this bowl, and I've got a cover since it's still very young, and that's what I'll keep it in. And then I mentioned my potato harvest from 2 potatoes in a bag. Okay, thank you very much, Christy. Have a lovely night. And when we get to 2:50, end the stream. I didn't want to end it while somebody comes along.